One, and we are live. What is up, everybody? How is it going? Austin Prechtelevate Performance, coming at you live. Today's Monday. Yeah, today's Monday. It's a beautiful day, full of new opportunities. And today I am joined with my badass client, Brianna. Hello, hello. How's it going? Say hi to everybody.
Hello.
we were just talking about before this live about how we both get nervous sometimes before going live. And so I figured what good way about getting through that than just like talking about it on the live. So let's yeah. Yeah, some good exposure therapy in a sense. So but yeah, let's kick this off. So let's give the audience a little bit of a background on who you are. So like, how old are you? What do you do for work? Or let's where you're from. Like, let's start from there.
Okay. Well, I'm Brianna. I'm 31, I think. Yes, I'm 31. And I live in Northwest Arkansas. We just moved to Arkansas last summer from Washington. We used to be in Washington, made the move to Arkansas. I am married. I've been married for almost 12 years now. And we have two kiddos. I have a daughter who's about to be 10 and a son who's about to be 6. And I am a full-time stay-at-home mom right now.
That's awesome.
Back in Washington, I did a lot of nannying and going to other people's houses to watch their kids, having kids come to my house. But moving out here, we had the opportunity for me to be able to stay at home with my kids, which I'm really happy about. So that's where we are. And we have a dog and we have a rabbit.
Very cool. Very cool.
That's our life. Yeah.
That's awesome. Very cool. So how, so I guess a quick question. So like going from, like nannying and working and then going to like full-time stay-at-home mom, like what kind of like was like the biggest difference between those two things? Because I've been a stay-at-home dad before in the past, and then I switched to being like full-time, kind of like working. And so for me, like I kind of went in like the opposite. Like what?
Yeah.
And so for you, like what was like drawing you to that, or what was kind of like the shift there that you noticed? Like the biggest, like was there like a like schedule, like things are like scheduling wise a lot different now? Or do you feel like you're like spread more thin, like emotionally, or like time wise? Like
yeah, I would say it was a good time to make the shift because both of my kids are in school full time now. My son started kindergarten in the fall. And so they're both in school full time. And I think it was a good time to make the shift because I feel like I am not spread so thin in the sense that I can focus solely on them. And, I have time to volunteer at their school now. I never had time to do things with their school when I was working because I would always have other people's kids or be responsible for other people's kids. So I feel like I have a little more time in the sense that I can dedicate it to their school. I can be fully present in the evening when they get home from school instead of chasing after other people's kids. I can fully focus on them. I feel like it's been a little more challenging in terms of sometimes I feel a little guilty that I wasn't as present when they were younger. I sometimes have a lot of emotions about that I wish that I was able to do it when they were younger. Yeah. But at the same time, I also have to look at it from the sense that my kids were able to experience, like my daughter made a lot of friends. The kids that I nannied, my daughter is still friends with. We still talk to them. They had a lot of exposure to other kids. And so I think that was good. They got to see me working and now they get to see me staying at home. Yeah. And I think having them experience a little bit of both worlds has been has been good.
I think that's
too.
awesome, and I love like the perspective kind of there, because at the end of the day, that's what it kind of all comes down to. Because like
Yeah.
whether like hindsight's always 20/20, and we always wish we did something differently, but we can always like look at like what we did with like a positive perspective. I think that you're doing an awesome job of that. So yeah, so let's talk about let's talk about your journey so far. Let's talk about us working together and everything. And so before like you and I worked together, what was your biggest struggle like in your fitness journey?
Well, I have always enjoyed being active.
Yeah.
I have always enjoyed exercise. Growing up, my mom was a very active person. She was a runner for a long time, and then she kind of switched over to more like aerobic type stuff. And then she switched over to yoga. She always really instilled in us the importance of movement and it being a positive thing. I always really appreciated that. I would say for me, I've always been a pretty active person, but over the past, I don't know, probably since having my second kid, I hit a lot more struggles in terms of all the other aspects that come along with movement. So nutrition, I struggled with some infertility stuff. And I have my body has changed a lot in the past decade. And that has just brought about some big challenges, both mentally and physically.
Absolutely.
So yeah, but I would say I've always had a really positive relationship with movement, but I would say all the other aspects over the past 10 years have been a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's an interesting thing to like mention is that a lot of times after like the second kid always seems to be kind of like it always kind of seems to be like that's like a point in a lot of other of other the other members in our community that we're a part of, like a lot of them, that's always seems to be kind of like the sticking point is like, oh yeah, after like my second kid, that's when like things started getting more difficult, because there's a lot of things going on, right? Like you're having another kid, like and the change to your body, but also like not only now did you have one kid, but you have two kids now. And so it's like you're a lot more like time management. There's all these other like interactions and like, it's, I've heard I've asked some of the other moms in our group, like, hey, like, like what was the difference between having one kid versus two kids? And they're like, well, one kid's one kid and two kids is 10 kids. And it's like, okay, and I was like, and damn,
actually, like my mom had 5 kids. And if you ask her what was the most challenging transition, like was it going from 4 to 5? Because I think most people sometimes seem to assume that, oh, it must have been so difficult having 5 kids. My mom was like, honestly, number 4, number 5, they just kind of rolled in and it was really easy because they had all their siblings keep them busy. Like they weren't difficult kiddos, but she was like going from 0 to 1 and 1 to 2 was hands down the hardest transition and like than any of these other. So I always thought that was interesting. And then I had my second and I was like, oh yeah.
Now I get it. She was right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So for you and for like your goals, when it came down to after having your second kid and like and again, I think it's really important to emphasize something is like you were talking about like movement and exercise was always something that was like fun for you, or it was always something that like your mom kind of instilled into you as being like this like fun and positive thing. But then like when it came to like the nutrition side of things and some of the other like like just being spread more thin because you have 2 kids now and all these other like things, like how is that kind of like negatively like impacting you, or what were you kind of like struggling with the most in terms of that?
I would say when around the time that we because with my son, it took us about almost 2 years to get pregnant with my son. So we were going through some infertility struggles there. And around that time, I really started relying on food to fill a lot of my emotions, and not necessarily in a good way.
Yeah.
So that was really when things started to get difficult for me when it came to nutrition, because I wanted to enjoy food.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to restrict myself from food. But I also was not doing a lot of the work when it came to my mental health.
Yeah.
I was instead choosing to like replace working on my mental health with, well, I'll eat this and it'll make me feel better. Or, you know, I will instead of exercising one day, I will eat this and I'll make me feel better. And so that was when the emotional eating habits and just not having a healthy relationship with food probably started. It was right around that time. And this clock is
that's okay.
Really and so that's probably about when it started, was probably like 6 or 7 years ago. And it's just been something I've struggled with since then. So
and it's something that a ton of people like struggle. Oh, Kira says hi. Brandy says hi, by the way.
Hi.
And so and it's something that it's such a common like struggle for a lot of people too, and oftentimes it can like almost like sneak up on you too, and it's just like oh, I'm going to do this one thing, and then the habit starts to form, and then it starts to become almost like this like integrated thing into our lives, and it can be tough to break that, and also like shift when you've used something, whether somebody's used like food or some other activity to kind of like put a band-aid on our mindset, or put a band-aid on those things, like it adds up over time, and eventually it can catch up with us. And so improve let's talk about like that like relationship with food, and kind of like, because as you mentioned, you didn't want to restrict yourself, and I don't think anybody wants to restrict themselves, right? I don't think anybody like wants to like because oftentimes like we if we're going on a journey or something, that's one of the main things people always feel like is like I can't do that, or I don't want to do that because like I don't want to be like miserable or starving myself, or I feel like if I want to lose weight, I have to be miserable or starving myself. And so like because of what we've seen in social media, or what we've seen on like in like exercise programs and stuff, you just see like this like super jacked person, or like this like person just like going like crazy, and they're like eating like an almond and an apple a day, or crazy shit like that. And it's like it doesn't have to be like that, right? And so like for you, since we've worked together, because here we really focus on, flexible dieting, and like, I always try to tell people, I'm like, my goal is for you to be able to eat as much as possible while still, reaching your goals. And so, sustainably. And so for you, like, what was that like transition, like going from, being like, oh, like, I don't want to have to restrict myself, or, oh, I've got this kind of like how has your relationship with, I guess, food changed the more you've learned about like flexible dieting from what we've
well, that's one of the biggest reasons why I really appreciate this program, is because I am one of those people that I have tried a lot of other things, a lot of other programs, a lot of other diets, a lot of other like, more restrictive. And with this, I think it was a 2-part process. I think the first part was I just realized that I need to take a step forward and start taking care of myself again, both mentally and physically. Like, it is time. We moved to a new state. My kids are in school. This is like a new start for our family. And I found a therapist that I really like. I only have one body. And that body I would like to last me for a long time. And so I think part of it was really shifting my mindset to, you know what, parts of this journey are gonna be difficult. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first started this program, And, we set up like, here's how many calories we're starting with.
Yeah.
Here's our macro goals. And yes, part of me was a little terrified when I
Yeah.
saw that, because I was like, I feel like I eat so much more than that in a day, or like, how am I ever going to get this many grams of protein in me a day, and stuff like that. But, and then like the first time that we cut my calories, I was really, really scared. So I thought for sure, like, I'm not gonna do this. I can't do this. But it has been really positive, because I don't feel like this program has told me you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't eat this. You can only eat so much of that. But it's taught me that if I slow down, if I focus on the things that I'm putting into my body,
yeah,
and I surround myself with a community of people that have great ideas.
Yeah.
Here are some great protein options. Here's some great this option. If I have a lot of options, it's been really positive. I had a lot of anxiety about it at first, but now, a couple months into it, it's really becoming kind of almost like a second nature.
Yeah.
And I like that. I feel like I'm not only making progress in my health journey overall, but I'm making progress in my relationship with food.
Yeah.
And I have more of a positive relationship. And I haven't gotten rid of anything.
No.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten rid of anything. I've shifted, in terms of portions, and, trying to put in more of this instead of more of that. But I haven't taken anything away.
Yeah.
I haven't restricted myself.
Yeah.
I've just been more aware of the things that are going into my body.
And that's awesome. And that's incredible. And that's kind of like that's the point of it, right? It's like, if you don't feel like you're restricting yourself, or you're not having like that fear of missing out on these things, or you're not like, it just feels so much more like living, like a lifestyle, and the fact that and I want to say too, like as of lately, especially like the last couple of months, like you have like stepped it up, and like there was just almost like this like turning point. It was almost like a switch flipped. It was like one week, like at one of your check, like there was just like a large like a large drop in in on the scale, and I was just like I was like okay, and then I was looking, I was like, oh damn, like everything's like oh. Aaron says you're awesome, by the way. And there was just
thanks. That's so sweet.
And it was just like this like switch flip, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, Brianna's bringing it.
I definitely felt that, and that check-in was so great. Like, you were so hyped, and it made me so hyped. I was like, yeah, I'm doing really good.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And I hadn't felt that way in a long time. It felt really good I've been really proud of myself. And that's a great feeling.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. And I think, and it's really cool too, because I feel like there's always kind of like these like turning points in people's journeys where either they give up or they push forward a little bit more. And the fact that you push forward that little bit more, like in that moment, I'm not saying like you were thinking about giving up or anything like that, but like there are these like turning point moments where, we can make the decision to, kind of like go through the motions, or kind of do the bare minimum, and maybe get, bare minimum type of progress. But then there was like a switch, like I said, like flipped in you, and in your check-ins, and just in the day to day, I was like, oh shit, like, all right, we've got something going on here. I was like, Brianna's like it's happening. So that's so cool. And one thing I wanted to touch on that you said that I thought that was really cool is like, in the community, right? Like being able to like go into the community and yes, like maybe being scared or feeling nervous or whatever it may be at times, but coming into the group and having that like ability to like tap into that community, and to be able to like, because you said something that stood out, was like, there's all these good ideas in there. Like if somebody's always got like a good idea to offer. And I think that's something that's like, that people don't think a lot about. Like, yes, like, our program is great. Like, we make it customized to fit your goals, to fit your nutritional needs, to fit these things. Like there's all of that part. Like there's the program side of things, but then there's also the community side of things where it's like you have an environment that's like full of other people working towards similar goals that are like, you know, maybe struggling with a lot of the same things or had struggled with a lot of the same things that can offer that advice or offer that like insight. And it's like, it's almost like I like to kind of like view it as almost like kind of like a hive mind. Like we've got like all these, like coming together. Like it's like almost like it's like, how can you, you know, fail in an environment like that if you're constantly being, you know, supported and uplifted and you know, given advice and stuff like that. And like, and a lot of times I think that, you know, people don't realize the power of that, and they don't realize like, oh, like if you could tap into that, like, you know, you're going to become that much, you know, more like unstoppable in your journey. So that's cool.
I think it's great that there's, so you not only have, because I think a lot of times if you have, you know, a personal trainer, or you have a workout plan or a nutrition plan or something that you're following, but it's only that, it can feel a little bit isolating. Especially if you're, you know, say like I do the majority of my workouts at home. I don't normally go to the gym. And so having that community makes it feel like it's not just you by yourself going through these steps or going through this journey. Like you have other people going through similar journeys, their own journeys, but everyone's kind of coming together and sharing their journeys and sharing their experiences and sharing ideas. And I just think that's really helpful. If you just make it feel less like you're all by yourself.
Yeah.
Other people going along the journey with you. So
and it's and I love that too. I love that you said that, because like a fitness journey can be lonely. A fitness journey or a weight loss journey or a health journey can be lonely, because like most people aren't doing it, right? There's a reason why there's so many people who are unhealthy or unhappy, you know, in these areas of life. And it's like it's tough because not everybody's doing it. Sometimes, you know, not even like our families are doing it with us, or, you know, a lot of times we're going solo. And so finding a place where you can be a part of a group of other people who are like, oh, like I totally, it creates like, it's almost like a club. It's like, and I feel like
I'm in the cool kids club now.
And well, in our group, it's a badass group. It's just like, and whenever I'm like talking to people about it, or describing it, whenever somebody inquires about, you know, joining or whatever, I'm like, it's like a badass moms club, kind of like, that's kind of, it's like it's just like this group full of like, and we're not all moms too. Like they're not everybody's mom, but like they're like the vast majority of people in the group. It's just like all these like badass moms, like talking about like this like awesome recipe that they made, or like, oh, like I just crushed this new workout. I just knocked out like, you know, 10, 15 push-ups for the first, like, it's like, where are we? This is awesome. I'm like about it.
It's really awesome to see.
Absolutely. So right now, so we've been working together since November, December, sometime around that, I believe. And so, you know, what sort of like, what's kind of like the biggest shifts in your like life or journey that you've been able to accomplish so far? Because right now, right, like we just hit an awesome milestone of 15 pounds, I believe. So like you're officially 15 pounds down, which is badass. Like that's freaking accomplishment. That's pretty sweet. But outside of that, you know, what are some of like the other, like, I guess like non-scale victories that you've seen, or that you feel like is, like you talk about, like, you know, improved relationship with food, and so some of these other things.
I have definitely, well, first of all, just an overall mindset shift. Like I am prioritizing me. I'm prioritizing like getting my walk in, getting my workout in. I have a good routine going, and that is something that's really helpful in my daily life, because even though my kids are in school full time, we still have after school activities. We still have stuff going on the weekends. We still have, I mean, there's still a lot going on in my life. So for me to be able to maintain a sense of routine and have a good mindset going into it every day, that's been really helpful. My clothes are fitting a lot differently. I didn't know much about body recomp. But now I know about body recomp. It's been really exciting.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
to have your clothes fit you differently, or not even be it. They don't even have to feel super big. They just feel better on me, and
Yeah.
that's felt really good. I feel like I'm starting to have more stamina. Like when I go walking, I'm not out of breath as much. I feel like I can get through the walk. Like my pace is a little faster. And I'm able to go up and down the stairs with my kids throughout the day and not feel like I'm dying.
Yeah.
And so all those little things are really amazing to me. I've always been the person that I've never wanted to just focus on the numbers on the scale, because I think that has been really damaging for me in the past, especially when other people, medical professionals or people in the exercise industry, judge you or base you off of the number on the scale. I don't ever think it should be just about that. I think it should be about the whole picture.
Agreed.
And so it has been really great just being able to see the whole picture, like healing my relationship with food, having more stamina, my clothes are fitting better. There's less swelling in my joint, like less inflammation. So to see it all in the bigger picture is really great. I've been really happy. The numbers, like, obviously I have a number goal. But the fact that, and it's been nice to be able to see the numbers on the scale go down. But it's also been nice to see all these other things happening and changing in my life.
Yeah,
so,
they're all important. They're all important, and like
Mm-hmm.
you start to see all these like little pieces of the puzzle, like start to fit in, and like it stacks up and it adds up over time, and like we're creating like a lifestyle, because like a number on the scale is not a lifestyle, right? Like a number on the scale is just like a goal or a milestone that you can hit, and it's like it's one factor that goes into what progress is considered, but it's not the end all be all, and it's definitely not the most important one, because like at the end of the day, like the same person can look and feel completely different at the same weight depending on how they got there, but also like there's so much more to it when it comes to just like our mental and emotional like happiness, like, and that like the one thing that I've noticed that's been kind of like a theme since we've been talking on this live is just like mindset shift, and like that's been kind of like a big thing, or a big like factor is like a lot of times people feel like a fitness journey, all it's about is like going to the gym and working out, or working out at home, or eating a certain way or whatever, and like those are components to it, but like none of those things matter. Like you could have all the knowledge in the world, but if your mindset's not in the right place to implement it or like use it properly, like that, like there's this quote that I like, it's like knowledge is bullshit if you don't do anything with it, basically. So it's like because like anybody can know how to do this stuff, but again, if you're not working on your mental too, and working on creating a more positive mindset for yourself and being proactive about it, like nothing's going to change unless we change. So I'm super freaking proud of you. I love that. I love this live. This is like you're dropping some. So okay, so we'll have one last question before we hop off this live. So for for anyone that's listening to this and that is thinking about starting their own fitness journey, what would you say to them, or what would be like one big golden nugget, like piece of advice? What was like the biggest like thing that you wish you'd known, or whatever it may be, before you started?
I would just tell them that you have time, and the time is now. Because I could sit here and I could list, 5, 10 plus reasons why I don't have time for this in my life right now, where I don't have time to work out every day. I don't have time to track my food. I don't have time to set up a routine. I could give you a lot of reasons why I can't. And you need to get up, put your feet on the floor, put yourself first, and do something for you. Because I know for a lot of people, Um, not just, I mean, not just moms, but for a
Yeah.
lot of people in general, you have a tendency to put other people before yourself, take care of
Yeah.
other people's needs for yourself. You don't have to be a parent to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Lots of people are like that aren't parents.
Yeah.
But it's there is time. You have time, and
Yeah.
you don't have to change everything in one day. You
Ah, I
know,
love that.
like if you
Yeah.
just start with little baby steps. If that's where you want to start with baby steps. You
Yeah.
know, like commit to, I don't know, I'm gonna walk every day for two
Yeah.
weeks, or
Yeah.
I'm gonna start cutting out my regular soda for
Yeah.
diet soda, or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. It doesn't have to be everything all at once, but you do have time.
Yeah.
You can make time,
Yeah.
and don't put it off any longer. Just
Yeah.
just get up and start it. Start your journey
Yeah.
somehow, whatever way that means for you. If it means messaging Austin, then get up and send Austin a message, and he will get back to you very promptly. Um, but just start the journey,
Yeah.
because I really encourage I really appreciate, when I first reached out to you, I had hesitation, like,
Yeah.
well, I think I'm not gonna start till like
Yeah.
January. Like I mentioned that I don't
Yeah.
have a lot of time right now. We have a lot of stuff going on, and I'm really glad that I made the decision.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna start now. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna wait another 2 or 3 months. I'm
I
gonna start
know.
now.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do the best that I can, and I'm gonna start now. So start now.
And you made
Have
it work. And you made it
time.
work.
Yeah.
And you made it work. And here
Yeah.
we are. And
Yeah.
like, and now that, especially now that the holidays and stuff are over, and I think I might have told you this, like, if you can do this now during the holidays, like think about how much
Mm-hmm.
easier it's going to be once those have passed, and how much
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
if you can make progress during the holidays, like, oh my gosh, like, like you're going to be
Yeah.
unstoppable once that's kind of over with. And so like, and
Yeah.
lo and behold, the holidays have ended, and like you're making great progress even during the holidays, but like now it's like kicked it
Yeah.
up another notch and into another gear, and it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm excited. It's going to be a good
Yes,
year.
me too.
So it's going to be a good year. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a great place to end this, and I just want to say thank you for taking the time for getting on this live, and getting outside of your comfort zone and doing a live with me and chatting with me for a half hour on
thanks
live.
for having me. This was fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely have to do it again sometime.
Yeah.
Maybe once we hit another big milestone, or once we yeah, I'm just excited. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds for you. And
Yeah.
other than that, everybody, this was Brianna. She's a badass mom, and a lot of other things. And so, yeah, other than that, thanks for those of you that are watching. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you're watching this at a later time, hashtag replay, and everybody that's watching live or at a later time, let us know your number one takeaway in the comments. And other than that, we will let you guys go. Bye.
All right. Bye.